I'm a huge fan of the Mega Man Battle Network series. I played every single installment on the Game Boy Advance as a kid, and ever since then, I've been looking for something similar to this series because it had such a unique blend of deck building and action. I haven't really been able to find anything except for One Step from Eden, which is basically the same formula, but they threw in roguelike elements. It's one of my favorite indie games of all time now. However, I especially haven't found anything on mobile until now. This is Project Ichr. Let's get right into it. Project Ichr is definitely going for that sci-fi feel. However, it doesn't have too much of a personality of its own. Everything definitely has that high-tech feeling to it, but it's not anything unique or that you haven't seen before. Now, the sound effects can also be hit or miss. The pistol sound effects especially can get really annoying over time, and they're really repetitive and kind of grating to your ears. It's hard to describe, but hopefully you guys are hearing that right now and you kind of understand. As I mentioned before, Project Ichr is a mix between a deck building game and a bullet hell shooter. Now, you're going to be exploring these levels and entering new rooms. Now, occasionally when you enter a room, you will be greeted with enemies, and you'll have to clear all the enemies in the room in order to progress. Now, while you're fighting these enemies, there's a deck building mechanic. So you will draw a certain number of cards, and those cards can be weapons or abilities, and you can utilize those, and they all have cooldowns. So whenever you use a card, you draw another card, and then you'll have to wait for that cooldown to appear, and you'll be able to use it again. So you're deck building a mixture of weapons and abilities and drawing those randomly and using them in these encounters with enemies. And these abilities can be dashes or grenades or various weapons. And what's unique about the weapons is that you can equip these weapons to your character, and you can equip 2 at a time. So you can have a pistol and a rifle, or you can have 2 rifles, or you can have 2 pistols. So you can dual wield weapons and combine these weapons to make really cool synergies and dispatch of your enemies in a variety of unique and different ways. There's also bosses that you can encounter in this game, and these bosses are actually tough as nails. Bullet hell shooters are always tough, especially when it comes to reaction-based timing, and I kind of suck at that personally, but I have so much fun, and it's really fun learning the patterns of these bosses as well. There's various stages where you'll do enough damage that they'll kind of switch up their patterns and playstyle, and you'll have to adjust to that on the fly with the deck building mechanics that I mentioned before. I really love the death mechanics of Project Ichr, which is good because it's a roguelike at its core. Now, whenever you die, you get a death card. Now, this death card is mixed in with your existing deck. Now, as you're drawing cards whenever you encounter enemies, you have a chance of drawing that card, and it will take up one of the normal spots of your cards. And there's no way to get rid of it. So instead of having a useful ability or weapon, that death card is blocking it from happening, which is very interesting. Now, you can get up to 3 of those cards at a time, and once you get your 4th death card, then you are permanently dead and your run is over. Aside from the default roguelike mode, there's also an adventure mode, which provides a little bit more structure as well as a beginning and end to play through. And there's a variety of different levels in this adventure mode for you. I'm disappointed with the card pool of Project Ichr. Now, there's around 20-ish cards available in the game right now, and they're all very balanced, and they provide unique gameplay elements during gameplay. However, that's it. Once you discover all of them, there's nothing else to see, and I think a lot of the fun with deck building games is discovering new cards. Now, most of the strategy because of this comes from how many copies of each card you have in your deck, as well as which copies you upgrade. So I think there's a lot of potential for growth in future updates to add new cards to that pool, and I think it doesn't hurt in deck building games just to throw in a bunch of cards. Even if they're broken and not necessarily balanced, it's still fun to experiment with them and encounter them. At the end of the day, Project Ichr is onto something. This game has a ton of potential because of its unique mixture of gameplay elements. And I'm excited to see where the developer takes it with future updates. And I hope the developer really does update this game and add more content in the future, because for the current price of $4.99, I think that's a little bit steep for the amount of content that's on offer right now. Now, if you're a big fan of the Mega Man Battle Network series or One Step from Eden or games in that similar vein, I can see it being worth that price. I bought it for 40% off during the launch window, and it was by far worth the price, but I would just think about it a bit if you're not a big fan of the games that I've mentioned, and maybe hold off for future updates. Alright guys, that was my review for Project Ichr. Don't forget to leave a like and pop a sub and comment if it helped you out or if you enjoyed it in any way, because it really helps out small channels like mine. I also stream mobile games. My Twitch channel link is in the description down below, as well as all of my socials. I post other content on my socials too, so if you want more content from me, definitely check those out as well. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you guys are staying safe and take it easy.